I'm your host, Frank Vargas, aka Traveling Frankie. You know how this works. And yeah, you're probably asking, like, where the hell is Frank? That's my backdrop, mini golf club game or mini golf, that's what that is. And families playing, because that's what we do. Today, I'm gonna let you guys meet a great person that kind of just started in this industry, but not really. She's a metal artist. She's been doing this for a while and kind of quit and then came right back on. And that's why you guys are gonna hear her story and learn who she is. Alisyn Palla, thank you very much, love, for saying yes. My voice, sorry guys, it was a long night or a long morning, depending how you see it, how you say it, right? So, Alisyn, thank you so much for saying yes to whatever this is. I think I've known you just for a few months, since FabTech actually.
Right.
And we'll touch on all that. And you guys know how this works. We'll touch on what she does now, but before that, that's like the icing on the cake. We really want to get to know the person. Why are they here? Why did they choose this crazy industry? We'll hear that in a second. So Alisyn, let's go back to where you're from.
I am from Bakersfield, California.
Right, so you are born and raised in Bakersfield?
Correct. Moved away, swore I'd never moved back, been back more than 20 years.
Well, that makes sense. Now, Bakersfield, California, and as a kid, what were you into?
Well, my family was my dad was a dairyman, so we had dairies growing up. So I'm a farm kid.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right, cool. And as you're growing up in school, you are, of course, California. How is growing up in California?
I mean, it was fine. I probably like anywhere else, but it was not. I mean, my family, like, we all went to college. We
Gotcha.
all did that. So we grew up, we went to college, and that was just kind of the path.
Cool. So while you were in high school, were you a good student? Were you into sports? Were you into art? What were you into back in the day?
I played sports, so I played
really?
softball, and I threw the discus.
Oh, really?
I threw the shot put until I tripped over the front toe kick at a track meet and embarrassed the shit out of myself, so I stopped doing that one. Yeah.
Well, that's a reason. I get it. I get it.
Right. So, I played sports. I was actually a really good student.
Really?
So, yeah.
Like A kind of student?
I think I graduated with like a 4.27.
I'm going to stop doing these things because every time I keep talking to people that are way smarter than me,
No.
and I'm like,
No.
what am I doing? No clue. You guys know that. Well, that's awesome. So when you are in college, you still have no idea that anything welding related is coming your way yet.
No.
Right?
No, I wanted to be a vet.
Okay, and you are not even that, because that didn't happen either.
I learned really quick that math and science are not my jam.
Okay, she actually, so we've been together for the last couple of days, and she's shared that line a few times. I'm like, and now I'm getting it. It's really true. Like, it's consistent.
Geography too. Like, all three
that's
of them.
right.
Yeah.
And she's a welder, but not your kind of welder. Chill, guys.
That's why it's art, Frank.
Yeah, that's why it's art, right? Yeah, it's free.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So you are at college, and you wanted to be a vet, and that didn't happen.
Right.
But you became what?
So I went to school and I wound up double majoring in sociology and political science.
See what I mean? I feel
I'm
so
really
dumb.
not very fun to hang out with.
Jesus. So this was great, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
Easiest podcast ever. Let's go.
So you major on those two, and what happened next?
So I didn't know what I was going to do. I took I think it's called the CBEST to become a teacher, and I took the LSAT.
Okay.
And I did okay on both. Actually, I didn't do super great on the LSAT because at that point in my life, I was a terrible standardized test taker.
Okay.
I could write my way out of a paper bag, but when it came time to like picking an answer, I could argue my way into every single one of them.
But this could also be
right. So I wound up choosing the path of law school because I didn't think I would make a super great teacher then.
Okay.
I don't think I had enough patience then.
Gotcha.
I think I had to grow up and mature a little bit before I developed that whole patience thing.
Did you?
Mature? I mean, mature? Jury's out on that one.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
We'll get back to you on that one. So now you become a lawyer.
Yep.
What kind of practice?
So I've been a lawyer for 20 years, and
you still are a lawyer?
I am still technically a lawyer, yes. And I still technically practice.
Sorry, guys. That is an actual plane, because we are at the hotel right next to the Fort Lauderdale airport. So that's what happens. But isn't that why this whole thing is cool? Because we can just do it anywhere and It's part of life, right? So you still practice.
I still practice.
Got it. And now you become a lawyer.
Yep.
And you are practicing. You are 2-3 years in, so on, give or take. Is welding now coming into your life of some sort, or not yet?
So my dad always welded because my dad built dairies. Like my dad can literally build, in my opinion, most likely everything, anything.
Got it.
And he would redo cars and stuff when I was a kid. So I was always kind of around.
You've seen the sparks.
Right. And I was always kind of around it. I'd help him in the shop. It was some of my like favorite time with my dad. Even to this day is spending time with him in the shop, because there's not a single day that goes by that I don't learn something. And
that is so true.
As we've talked, like I'm kind of a sponge right now, so the more I can learn, the better. But yeah, no, welding was not anywhere on the radar at that point. It wasn't probably until 2012.
2012. So in 2012, what happened, aside from seeing those sparks, in your dad's shop or here or there, that you go, maybe I want to get under the hood and do something?
My neighbor moved to Bangladesh and gave me his used Harbor Freight welder and said, here you go. And I was like, what am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah.
He's like,
is that a paperweight? Yeah.
Yeah. And I had no clue how to weld or manipulate metal in any way. And so I watched a whole bunch of, I think YouTube had barely come out at that point. So I watched a bunch of videos, and I read as much as I could, and I tried to figure it out. So I had the Harbor Freight welder, and then eventually I went down to our local supplier and I bought a mini oxyacetylene setup. So those were my tools when I first started.
So having that, and did you do anything with that Harbor Freight machine when you first got it? What kind of things were you burning when you first got that?
So I don't really think anything really stuck together when I first started. Like, let's be honest.
No comments.
It was bad. And so, but I was determined, so I kept trying. And I think like the first thing I ever made was maybe, I don't remember. I think I tried to, I tried to make a dog corral thing to lock them into like a giant room. And it was fine. I mean, it held, and the dogs couldn't get out of it, so I think it did its job. But then that wasn't really my jam, so I started kind of playing around, and I think the first artsy thing I ever made was a cattle brand for a family friend for Christmas.
Gotcha. And is that the one that you use the oxy torch to make that and kind of...
Yeah, there's a cool thing that happens when you cut with flame. It's especially a big tip, and especially when you don't really know what you're doing and you're not using the right stuff. I got this really cool effect that literally looked like a brand. It was kind of a little bit rough on the edges. It had that like scabby kind of look. Yeah. And so it made the gas setup is great if you're making cattle brands out of metal. So anyway, that was the first thing I did.
And that's pretty cool. So here you are, 2012, and now you're like, all right, I want to dab into this, and maybe what can I do? And you get that oxy fuel kit and so on. But how long did you go trying to create art? And did you know that was the approach that you wanted to do from the beginning in the welding industry, that you wanted to create? Because being a lawyer, things are so black and white, so strict, so linear. And now you're like, all right, so I'm using my right brain all the time. Like my left is just sleeping all the time. So was that part of it? Like you needed an outlet to do something else?
So I would pencil sketch when I was a kid, but I always hid it. Like I never shared any of my art with anyone because...
That was your personal...
It's like when you create from your soul, it's like literally just opening up and saying, here I am world, like good luck, hope, you don't...
Love me or hate me,
love
whatever.
Me or hate me, either way. And that's really a scary thing to do. Like you have to be very vulnerable to share your creative side, regardless of what your medium is.
That is true.
And so for years I would sketch in black and white and I never showed anyone. And so it was my birthday. That's the only reason I remember the date. I know people think I'm like freaking Rain Man because I know exactly what day I sold my first piece of art, but it just happened to be my birthday. And it was a local art association. They had a window space open. I just happened to be in there and she's like, are you an artist? And I was like, no. And she kept asking questions and finally I said, well, I'm trying to figure out welding, like how to work with metal. And she asked if I had any pieces, and I was like, no. And she's like, can you make some in the next couple of days? Because we're doing our first Friday, which is like an art walk in downtown. And so, long story, a little bit shorter. I paid the $30 to rent the window space. My first art piece that I ever sold was a series. I call it a series because that's what artists do, right? Like they call them things. I made a handful of I cut hearts out of metal, made them broken, and then I wrapped them in barbed wire to put them back together. So, and I personally was going through a hard time, and so for me, my art symbolized where I was in my life
at that time, yeah.
And it ultimately healed me during that process. So anyway,
that's amazing that's what art does. You know,
Yeah.
that there's just that outlet. You know, just putting so much energy into something.
Yeah.
You see it come back into life, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, it's a feel good kind of thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I sold a bunch of broken hearts when I had a broken heart, and so the irony
Makes sense.
is deep. And they all sold the first night, and I was so surprised that people wanted a piece of me on their wall or on their fence or whatever, and so it kind of fueled me for a little bit.
Okay.
And I was super excited, but I was still a full-time litigation attorney.
Gotcha.
So I worked all the time.
Crazy hours.
Yeah, the only time I got to do art was either at night or on the weekends, and that didn't happen very much. And so I did it for a little bit. And I just sold to like family and friends. Like
Gotcha.
I made a couple mended hearts after that. People were like, "Those were so cool. Do you have any more?" And I was like, "No, I don't.
Yeah.
I have no stock. Like I don't have any product ever." Anyway, and then I got too busy with my practice, and I kind of stopped. And then maybe a couple years in, I had an opportunity to rent some space with some friends, and the three of us were all creatives, and we did it. It was in a beach town, so I would work all day, try to create at night and on the weekends in order to have my work in the space.
Gotcha.
And then I would go over there and help run the shop on the weekends, and I'd come back. And it was the first time I'd ever tried to actually make money doing art.
Got it.
And we only did it for a couple months because it was really hard on all of us. And I was
because of that whole commute and everything else, and plus the full time, it can burn you, literally burn you.
And I didn't go back out in my shop for years. After when I was done doing that, I was so burnt out. I didn't go back in my shop for 5 or 6 years, probably.
Really?
Easily, yeah.
So
I didn't create anything. I didn't draw. I just literally just worked.
So the space that you guys had, that you did it for a couple of months or so, you guys gave those back, or the space back, whatever, and you didn't do any welding or any art whatsoever for 5 years or so.
Wow. Least, yeah.
So that brings you somewhere in 17, 18, 19 or something, when you start thinking about, maybe I want to start a flame.
I wasn't even thinking about it. My parents wanted to remodel their front yard and put in like this really cool entertainment space in the front, and so they wanted a really rad fence and gate.
Okay.
So we worked on it as a family, which was an amazing opportunity.
I know this story. This is why I'm laughing, because I know exactly what she's trying to say or not say. So it's so good. So go ahead.
There was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in that project.
Literally every one of those. Yeah.
But it was an invaluable opportunity for me to spend good quality time with my family, good or bad. Like I got to spend time with my parents and create with them. And my mom is super creative. She can visualize it in her brain and then put it out there.
Gotcha.
And my dad could look at something and build it, right? Yeah. So between the two, they're fun to work with.
But when you add me.
Well, you throw me in the mix, and I'm a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But no, it took us a year. But that included literally gutting the front yard, pulling trees out. It had a bunch of hills and rocks. And I oversaw the project because I now have a construction background. So I know, right? Full circle. And so we built this really cool basket woven fence. We used, I can't remember if they were 10 or 12 foot lengths. They were about just shy of 12 inches wide, and we wove these panels for the fencing.
Gotcha.
And then for the gate, my dad and I kind of went back and forth with designs, and then ultimately we agreed on one.
Ultimately,
ultimately we agreed on one. And my mom loved it, so the part of it, probably 80% of the gate, 20% of it is we carried the basket woven fence into the gate, and then I freehand drew and then hand cut the paneling for it. And it was that process, all the blood, sweat, and tears. But the creative stuff, I hadn't welded or done anything except for helping my dad here and there, or I don't know. I built a shop 5 years ago and I hadn't really been in it. And anyway, that gate inspired me to get back into it because I was like, I miss this so much.
What's crazy is that so here you are, you stop doing the whole thing for a while, and then you get into a massive project, right? It's not like, oh, let me make another little heart or another window frame or anything.
Project.
Yeah, sure, let's get in it, and oh wow, did I do it? Did I make the right choice? So now you are done, happily done with that. with that
and
experience.
It's a beautiful space to entertain humans. Yes.
Got it.
And I guess animals, but whatever.
Things that are alive.
Everyone's welcome.
Yeah, right, yeah. So now it sparks that creative side in you again. And you go, well, maybe I want to start doing this again. But at that time, did you have the time? Or you just kind of, you know what, I'm going to make the time?
So I guess we started, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even know. What year is it? 2024? Right.
Guys,
it's been a very short but long
I didn't
trip.
say this was going to be a great interview. So there was a lot of...
you promised you'd delete it if it's bad.
There was a lot of liquids flowing the last couple of days.
And very little sleep with a 3-hour time difference catching up.
Yep.
Yeah, so I went to work, so I left my litigation practice and I went to work in-house, like as general counsel for a client in the fall of 2019. That next year and a half of my life was probably the most stressful, complicated I've ever had in my entire 20-year law career.
Really?
So if you even asked me if I'd been out my shop, I'm like, what's a shop? Like I had not been out there at all. So things started to slow down. We finished the gate and fence in October of 2022. So we started it in 21.
Gotcha.
So I misspoke earlier. I think I said 2019 because, well, I don't know what year it is. And so in February of last year, October we'd finished it. And I thought, you know what? I really want to do this. Like, I want to be out in my shop more. I had no clue I'd be sitting here today back then.
Got it.
And
me neither.
Yeah, right. Are we sitting here today?
Right.
And so I decided I wanted to get formal training because in the 10 or so years that I'd been dabbling around, like as you can tell, only for about 6 months total probably in the grand scheme of things, I wanted to be formally trained.
Gotcha.
And I'm sure there are schools where I live.
Of course.
But I was looking for something like I want to bounce in and bounce out. I want to learn general processes. We've already established that I don't do math and science. So if you start talking math and science, I literally will just shut down. It's like Charlie Brown talking in the background.
Yeah.
Poor Matt tried to teach me geometry at FabTech.
I was like, Matt, this relationship, this friendship is not going to go far if you continue to have...
don't talk about the math. But, I mean, it was helpful, and I've called him a couple times since. How do I figure out a circle, Matt? Like,
there you go.
Here. Anyway, it wasn't that bad. Well, maybe a little bit.
And for those of you who doesn't know Matt, he'll be in Torch Tales in a while, and soon, hopefully. And Matthew Bottles, and he's all over the place in the welding industry, and great, cool dude.
Such a cool dude.
Great friend. So, hi, Matt. So there you are. So now you go, well, you know what? I want to go learn something more, get better at what I do, and kind of really learn, this whole fire thing, right?
Yeah. So then I was like, maybe I'll just make gates. Like, maybe I'll make the kind of gate that someone can't go to a fab shop and get. Like, I want to make you can, I guess, with a CNC machine, but I want to make the custom hand-cut gates or...
No one
something that's like one of a kind you'll never get. So I was like, maybe I should learn how to weld. If I'm going to like put a gate up, like maybe I should make sure it's really going to stick. Not just like pray.
It looked pretty the first day.
It was real pretty, and then 2 days later it was not there anymore. I don't know what happened.
So I'm getting all these residual business back.
The magically disappearing gate.
Yep.
Anyway, so I looked around and I couldn't find anything locally that would give me like a weekend or a week training. I didn't want to do like a junior college or a trade school because I didn't need all the technical stuff. I just hands-on, teach me what I'm doing.
You knew what you wanted.
Yeah. So I looked around and I found Stephanie's school in New Jersey, Stephanie Hoffman.
So, correct, a good friend of ours. And so how did you find that school? Especially in New Jersey.
I had seen Metal Shop Masters.
Okay.
That's not why I went to her. Like, to be clear, I did not go there. Like, I'm going to be on Netflix.
Who am I to judge whether that was the truth or not, right?
I chose her school because she's very knowledgeable in the industry. That was very clear from the show and other things that I had researched. No, not a creeper. That sounded weird. I mean, okay.
But we all are. Yeah.
There was something cool about learning from another woman.
Gotcha.
Like a woman in the industry
I can see that.
Who has made a name for herself and done so well and super freaking knowledgeable to be in that space and be in that energy. I was like, cool, let's do it. I had flight miles, so it was no big deal to just, hop over from California to New Jersey for a week. Yeah. And her school actually offered a week-long intensive make TIG stick. And then Saturday we took it off, although I went to the lecture because the math and science at the beginning was, so I listened to it twice. And then she offered a sculpture class on Sunday. So I was like, this is a sign. Like, I need to be in this space at that point.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you were there for a whole week.
Whole week. A little bit, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when you come back after the school, you come back to the shop, what was your mindset?
Well, I listened to every podcast I could get my hands on the way back.
Yeah.
I mean, it was only an 8-hour trip.
I was going to say that, so that's only 4.
I was like, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But I was like super interested in the industry. Like, I want to learn more because that school, that time that I spent with Stephanie with the hands-on training taught me, look, you might not understand all the science and the math. You might not necessarily know what all the equipment's called or even how to use it.
Yeah.
But teach me how to use it and then let me do my thing,
Correct.
whatever that might be with it.
Yeah.
And I might not use it the same way you use it.
Correct, yeah.
So that week gave me that hands-on confidence, I would say, to be like, hey, I maybe am a welder. Because Stephanie was like, wow, you can really weld. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. Like, I mean.
That's, the little things you need, just to really reinforce something in you. I'm like, you know what? Yes, I can do this.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't, you can really weld. It was, oh my God, you can actually weld. I think it was actually weld.
Now that you say that, way, I can see that. Yeah. Makes sense, makes sense.
Yeah, so.
So you come back,
Yep.
Now you're back home. And did you start making stuff or trying to make stuff right away? Like, or was there a period where I came back and you also took another month or so? Or like, how was that? It was still kind of going through all the information or?
So there's this weird thing that happens whenever I create and I do it. I get people reach out, family and friends, right?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're doing it again? Cool, can you make me this? And so I had a handful of smaller commissions. And when I got back, I decided, you know what? I had never flown by myself. Like, I had traveled, obviously, with partners or work or whatever the case may be, but I had never, really
Being a grown
traveled.
woman out there.
I had never gotten on a plane and flown across the country by myself. Yeah. Stayed in a hotel. Well, I'd done it for work, but like for that length of a period.
Yeah, on your own,
there's something to be said for traveling by yourself, sitting in a restaurant by yourself. Like, you have to be comfortable in your, go Frankie, go, every day.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. No, but there's something that happens when you have to choose to be comfortable.
For yourself.
Well, but you have to be comfortable alone.
I know.
And that's another vulnerable space, right?
Yep.
So that week, I was super vulnerable. I don't know anything about the welding industry going into this week.
Gotcha.
I knew what I saw on YouTube and the random things I found at Harbor Freight.
Right.
Just make it up, right?
Yeah.
And so that gave me the confidence to come back and be like, okay, what else can I learn? And so, but in order to learn, I have to be vulnerable because now I'm playing in an industry I know nothing about.
That's correct.
Very, very little. And so I just...
That's the 4th plane.
Every couple minutes.
I chose a great location, by the way. Just saying.
I think it was like just in case I wasn't a good interview, the planes could cut it up.
Also, when I chose the location, it was nice and quiet, nobody around, and as you can see, that's not happening anymore. But it's all good.
And then you kept me out till really late, and so my voice is almost gone.
I was not there. She's lying. I was home sleeping already, and they just kept going.
You know what, though? We'll get there, I'm sure. But the lifelong friends I've made in this last 10 months of wild but wonderful journey are like lifelong friends. So when I get the opportunity to come to the East Coast, I will literally stay up 24 hours to hang out with my good people like you. And
Thank you.
I don't mind. I'm gonna go home and sleep for 3 days.
I know, right? Yeah.
The 30 hours I was here, I was here for it. And I was ready to go the full time, but you did let me sleep a couple hours. I appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. So now that you mentioned, especially, let's segue into that. So you go to the school, and I think I know this part of the story. Steph says, hey, have you ever heard of Haptech? You should go to Faptech. Is that when that comment was made?
So no, Steph was crazy enough to give me her cell phone number.
Okay.
And then we ultimately became friends, also crazy.
Yeah.
And she said, ask me anything you want about welding. Like, I'm an open book. I want to encourage you. Go back to California, do your thing, and reach out when you need something. Well, then I was reaching out all the time.
Are you sleeping?
Yeah. Hi, what are you doing right now? And at one point I reached out to her and I was like, hey, is it too early in this whole art thing or what I'm doing, which I don't even know what it is, to go to Fabtech? And her immediate response was, absolutely not. It is never too early to go to Fabtech, because what will happen, and it did happen for me, is you will make so many connections. You'll see things in the industry you didn't even know existed. But the relationships that you make and the connections that you make in that space are like once in a lifetime friendships, once in a lifetime opportunities, and you're willing to fly across the country to hang out with your friends and not go to sleep. So,
Yep.
there was nothing there. I was
That's
like,
how it
I
works.
just turned into a 14-year-old boy for a second.
Hey, she meant well. She meant well. Yeah. So that's what's crazy, because to touch on that. So here you are. So of course, the company I work for, we go to FabTech every
Right.
single time, and we have a decent booth. And my counterpart, it's he's there. I'm out of the booth, and I guess you pass by or stop by, don't know that part of the story, and I guess he got hooked on your hair.
Yeah.
And as she's walking by, it's like, oh, excuse me. Oh my God, I love your hair. And I guess that struck a conversation.
It did.
I don't know. My name was brought up. 5 planes. And
who's counting?
Right, yeah, who's counting? And then you run into our mutual friend Matt, and you guys are walking, the whole show. Then I get to meet you. I'm like, oh my God, and then here we are.
Yeah.
How many months ago was that?
Like
FabTech.
10.
Yeah.
I don't
right?
even know. Well, no, I started 10 months ago. FabTech was in October.
Yeah.
Or no, September. God, we've lived a lot of
my
life in the
God.
last 30 hours.
Sorry, people. I know I should know this, but
It was in
whenever
September.
That was,
it's in
yeah.
September.
There you go.
And so September, October, November, 5 months.
Here's
I
more
did math. I did math.
Here's more fingers.
Woo! You're welcome. That was your once in a lifetime math opportunity.
Nice.
5 fingers. I can count
Nice.
to 5.
That's awesome. So was it everything that you were expecting, or did it blow your mind, FabTech, in
yeah.
about everything?
So again, vulnerable opportunity, right? And now I'm not only playing in the industry, but now I'm going into the industry, eyes wide open, ears wide open, a literal sponge, trying to learn as much as I can. And my biggest mistake was I wasn't there long enough. I flew in Sunday at like 4:30, went to the social, and that's the other thing that Stephanie said. She said, don't miss the social events because they're important. Even if you don't know anybody when you get there, you're going to know people by the time you leave. And that was such a true statement.
Really?
And the people I met that first night are some of the lifers, right?
Gotcha.
So I definitely go to the social events because, the industry stuff is important.
Yeah.
The changes in the industry, the equipment. Like, I didn't know robots could pour beer. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I need one of those, yeah.
Matt and I looked for hours for that thing, and then we gave up because we never found it. But we heard it was cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to find it next year.
There you go.
This year, I guess.
And that's what's great. And she's so right. This is the networking part. It's the relationship building when you go to these things, because everything else at the show while you're running, people aren't working and all that. And they'll talk to you and all that, but it's not the same.
Right.
It's like, all right, I can take my jacket off. I can be me and what's up? So I totally get it.
Yeah.
So that was your first time going to FabTech.
Yeah.
And you make all these relationships.
And the only person I knew was Stephanie in person.
I met
people. I think when I started in February, I had 250 followers. When I got to FabTech, I think I had 1,000 or 1,500.
Yeah.
And so, I had friends on Instagram.
Right.
But I picking them out of a crowd.
Yeah.
We've all got our hoods on and our whatever when we make content.
Yeah.
And even when we don't, I think people recognize me because of my hair.
That is so
right?
true.
Which
That is so true.
You were going there. Yeah. Ray brought me in. I was walking by, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I love your hair. Who are you?" And I was like, "Me? Like, I don't know." He's
And
like,
you?
"Well, why are you here?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I play with metal." And he's like, "Are you a welder?" And I was like, I sure." And he's like, "Well," I was like, "I'm an artist." And that was hard for me this year. I started finally calling myself an artist. For the first time, and I'm going to be 44 next week. And for the first time in 44 years, I literally now can say I'm an artist.
That's
I don't
awesome.
know why. People,
and you are.
Thank you.
You are. And some of her stuff, and you'll get to know her, and she's going to keep blowing up, and you'll see her links and all, and you'll see why she's here, why people love to be around her. And the stuff that she's making and the stuff that she's learning, the sky's the limit. So I'm lucky and honored to have you here. Look, I'm getting goosebumps.
Ditto. Aww.
Damn it. Yeah, I'm gonna cry. But no, so I really mean that. And thank you so much for saying yes to this. And I know that other opportunities have, been kind of coming to the table. Now you also became the one of the brand ambassadors for Uniworld products.
Yeah. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, that's why she's here. And and then you also went to your first AWS section meeting.
I did.
Last night.
I did.
Right? And so tell me, what did you think about that?
So, still forcing myself to be vulnerable and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
you made me talk not only about myself, but also about my art last night.
Okay.
Which is good for me to do because the more I do it, the more comfortable I get. But again, it's personal for me. So I feel like I'm opening up immediately when I talk about my art. Whereas probably if you met me in a non-art setting, I would probably be more deposition mode with you and I wouldn't open up for a while. And so it was really cool. I got to introduce myself to the group, and then the group, there were, 4 of us?
Yep.
And each one of us demoed a different process.
Correct.
And kind of talked about what we do, and it was really rad. Like, it was so fun.
It was really cool to see you guys do what you guys do, and definitely, but I know that was going to be, at the end of the day, that was going to be the easy part. Hey, give me what I know, and I can do that. My goal at that time, for a couple of you that maybe haven't done this before, it was that. It was opening up and it's like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, and also see that these other things are out there that you guys should go into and look in, like, sections, for AWS and all that, and be part of the industry. Because I've always said, look, if you're going to be in the industry, might as well be in the industry.
Yeah.
Like, whatever that means, all in.
Well, and I don't think people realize how many variables there are to be part of the industry.
Correct.
Right? So it was hard for me to accept that I'm now part of the industry.
Yeah.
In a very different way than you are, and in a very different way than our friends like Stephanie are in the industry. And so there's so many ways to be part of the industry and help the industry and keep it strong and growing. And people don't, literally the world is your oyster when you start thinking about, it's not just being a welder, it's not just being a fabricator, it's not just, being a machine operator.
It's a big circle, and that's one of the reasons why, when I decided to create Torch Tales, I'm like, I used to be a coach, some of you guys know that, and so I was like, all right, there's all these kids out there and this youth generation that not everyone wants to be white collar, there's a lot of blue collar, which is what builds the world, right? And so you call yourself a metal artist, and you're like, oh, do I call myself that? Am I one? But people like you buy the stuff that people like me sell,
right?
Buy the gas that other people make.
Yep.
And that whole circle, and right now you're doing art, and I know that that's always going to be very close to you because you're an artist and you're creative and all that. But who's going to say that 5 years from now, what you're doing now kind of merged into something else, which we've talked about, and so that's why I say, hey, you're here now, tomorrow we'll see, and you're still going to be in the industry doing all these other versions of what you are, what you do now.
Oh, there will come a time where my body can't physically do what I'm doing now.
So you got to
jumping up on my table and melting metal to get it to do what I want. Yeah, and I recognize that. But I left FabTech, and I even think I posted, like, before I even got on the plane, I was so grateful for that opportunity and the connections and the lifelong friends that I made. I finally, for the first time in my life, feel like I found my people. Like, I played in white collar, right? Because we didn't have a choice. Like, in my family, I have 12 cousins. I think we all went to college. That's just what my family did. And women weren't as readily accepted into the industry as they are now.
Correct.
And I don't know, like, with the encouragement to go to college when we were younger, like, there was no trade conversation, even though my family's in ag, right?
Correct, right?
So I literally know lots of attorneys, I know lots of other professionals, and the people I met at FabTech are not only the most intelligent people I have ever met, but they are also the most generous when it comes to sharing information and knowledge. And the laughs, the literal belly laughs, like my cheeks, even, I've been here, not even 30 hours?
I know, right?
My cheeks hurt from laughing and visiting for pretty much nonstop.
Yeah.
I'm about to lose my voice.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what this is to me.
That's
It's the connections and the lifelong friends that I made. And it's taking that leap of faith and jumping in and being willing to be vulnerable for me.
Of course.
Was why I'm sitting here today, which, how cool is that? I would have never thought I'd be sitting here today a year ago.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And to hear those stories and to share those stories with, the 2 viewers that are watching.
There's
right?
3. Yeah. I think I see 3.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mom.
My mom's watching.
Yeah. We're done. I told I was going to make it. So that's one of the things that one person can watch this and go like, wow, I didn't know I could just break off from what people wanted me to be, or or follow somebody else's dream. Not that there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
But you go, I always have this little thing in me that I think I want to try something else.
Mm-hmm.
And then to just say, yeah, I'm going to try it, I'm going to go for it, and I'm in.
So
it's nice, refreshing to see.
In 20 years of being a lawyer, I've never had a client or even an attorney, anyone come to me and say, thank you. Like, I'm so inspired
That's
by you.
your job.
Like,
you're expected to do that
right.
for me.
They're like,
Bye.
wait, I owe you how much? Like, why?
Yeah.
And in the, 10 months that I've put myself out there on social media, I've had people I don't even know, male, female, adults, youth, all walks of life. Many people have reached out to me and said, thank you for doing what you're doing because you inspire me. And I'm like, wait, what? Me?
Yeah.
Wait,
who are you talking
me?
to? Yeah.
And God, I'm so squeaky. But
you guys are lucky we got anything left.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
The last bit is going into this.
That's it.
But in all seriousness, like, it's the first time in my life I feel like at least one person I hopefully have made a difference. And if I can inspire one person
That's what I say,
to jump in, take a leap of faith, do something they never thought they would do, be vulnerable for 5 seconds when they maybe wouldn't have otherwise done it.
There you go.
Go try and create. It doesn't even have to be art or welding. Like, go do whatever it is that you're scared to do or that you always wanted to do.
Do you, boo-boo.
No, do you, boo. But the only thing you're going to lose is time.
Well said. Well said. That's so amazing. And so here you are now. Now you go back. You'll sleep for 3 days. Yeah. And right. Do you have any work coming up? Or you got anything that you're working on? Right.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So I did a restaurant sculpture at the end of last year, and I have learned that when I do these bigger projects that are all consuming, and Johnny and I were talking about this, there needs to be some downtime after where you take a break. So I didn't do much in December. I think I was in my shop for like 3 days maybe, and it was only because I had to be out there. But
I had to go through all the garbage, so I got to walk right through it. Yeah.
So I gave myself kind of till the first of the year. I did a little bit just to kind of get warmed back up, and then first of the year I hit it again hard because I've been hired to do three separate public art installations for the city of Wasco, which is a neighboring city, just I guess it's northwest of us.
Okay.
And so I'm doing those, and they're set to be installed on or before July 1st. And then I have a handful of commissions. So
nice.
Wow, yeah.
Nice. Good for you. Good for you. It just gives you validation that you are in the right track.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So that's awesome. And we're almost done, guys. I promise you. I promise you, we're almost done.
I'm good. I'm awake now.
Oh, now she's.
Awake.
I'm the one that's not awake. It's about me. It's not about her anymore.
I'm at the bottom of my coffee.
Yeah, right?
Remember I said I don't talk until the coffee? Like, you're pushing it
That
this
is
morning.
right. You know, I'm like, Frank, if I don't get coffee, you're not getting anything out of me. I'm like, all right.
It's too short for bad coffee, too. I need some more Cuban coffee, but
well,
only one.
So you say, and then like, don't give me any more Cuban coffee. I'm like, all right.
Frank gave me 2 Cuban coffees yesterday, and I had a handful of regular coffee. And he's like, here, go plasma cut in front of a bunch of people. Okay.
Talk about freehand.
Yeah. And it was a cactus, not a flower.
Yep. Nature. It was still nature,
something
right?
In nature, something.
So now when you do all that work, you're definitely going to FabTech coming up in Orlando, right?
As long as I'm breathing, I plan to be at every FabTech. Like, I would not miss it. Even if I didn't go in the building, I would go just to see you guys.
Yeah,
like,
cool.
All my friends in one spot.
I know, right? That's
shopping.
That's what's cool about this. Now that you are, I'm gonna say, a young, seasoned metal artist, and you are loving this thing, and you are getting, making these relationships and all that. What would you say was the biggest surprise, except from these relationships that you've mentioned before, that once you got in it fully, like you are now, that you go like, wow, I thought that was going to be so different, and it's not, or yes, it was?
The one surprise.
Yeah.
Oh.
Was it a technique? Was it a process? Was it?
You know what it is? You put me in a pair of 5-inch heels and a pencil skirt, and I have all the confidence in the world. You put me in a room full of welders, and you want me to talk about welding or art? I'm like, what? But the surprise is how uncomfortable it made me initially. The bigger surprise is how it gets a little bit easier each time. And people like you make me feel comfortable because the industry has welcomed me in a way I never expected. And so maybe that is also a big surprise, right?
Yeah.
Because I plan on, I think that's like 8. You missed like 3.
Yeah.
I plan on going to FabTech and literally saying hi to Stephanie, like, because I knew she was going to be busy, and just be like, hi.
Yeah.
And not talking to anyone else.
Correct, yeah.
I lost my voice. Like, I could barely talk by the end of the trip. So, I think the surprise was how welcomed I was into the industry. Yeah.
That is so cool. And please understand and know that this industry, like she said before, it has so many avenues. What I do, what she does, what everybody else does, we all need it to make the whole wheel turn, right? So it's, if you guys get in it, it's like the Twilight Zone. You guys can't get out once you're in it, because you fall in love, and it's not about the process. It's not even about I use this brand, I use that brand. It's the people. These long time relationships and lifers. Definitely, there's no way around it. Even if you don't want to do it, even if you're the most introvert person in the world, we'll beat that out of you. Like, you know,
we're gonna make you talk, and you're gonna like it.
Yeah, and that's it. There's no way around it. But I want to thank you again.
Thank you.
People like you kind of make it fun for people like me, and it kind of gives me like just a new reason. Like, yeah, this is why I do what I do. This is why I love doing it, and. My voice is completely gone, and the planes are driving me nuts, but it's all good.
Mic drop it.
I know, yeah. So, but thank you for being who you are, the way you are, and thank you for coming into the industry and giving us more energy. Because that's what really what it feels like.
That literally just don't make me cry.
Yeah.
No, that makes my heart so I have the biggest heart smile right now.
Yeah. Cool.
So
yeah.
It's people like you that make me feel comfortable, though. So I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for people like you and the friends that I've made, because I feel it's cool for me to be here. Like, I'm okay being here.
You are. You belong. You belong here. You belong here.
It's the hair.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Plus that. Well, thank you so much, love. I hope you had fun here in Fort Lauderdale. I hope you learned some stuff. I hope you go back home and keep rocking it. And we'll be in touch. And you're not getting rid of me anymore. That's it. You're done. So. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Guys, I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys got to learn a little bit of this rock star here. And follow her. Wait.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
Wait, there's more. How dumb of me. Your company.
Yeah.
What's the name of your company?
Meraki Metalworks.
Why that name?
So it's actually pronounced Meraki. It's Greek.
Okay.
And it's Greek for to do something with passion, with heart and soul, and like just put everything into it. If you're gonna do it, doesn't matter what it is, just do it. Go all in. Wow, that gave me goosebumps. Okay.
I got nothing.
Yeah. There's the mic drop.
Bam. See you guys. Thank you so much.